Trouble in Paradise? Welcome to Unfiltered. I'm S.E. Cupp. What once seemed like a Republican Party united around former President Donald Trump now seems more like a house divided. And as Lincoln said, a house divided against itself cannot stand. Since Trump announced his run for president in 2024, you would have expected Trump world to be completely re-energized and coalesced around their one-time savior. But not so much. Steve Bannon, the former architect of Trump's first campaign and a chief strategist, hasn't been shy about criticizing Trump's moves since then. After Trump released a much mocked NFT, Bannon took to his podcast to say, "I can't do this anymore," and called for whoever was behind that decision to be fired. I, for one, have to assume Trump himself was behind that decision. And this week, Trump announced he would appear with South Carolina Senator Lindsey Graham in that state to reveal key campaign staff. Bannon did not take that news well either, saying, "I have no earthly idea why Graham's around former President Trump. He's a cancer that's metastasizing." This follows another two key supporters of Trump, the evangelical pastors Franklin Graham and Robert Jeffress, both saying they wouldn't endorse Trump or any candidate until after the primaries. Trump railed against that decision, calling it a sign of disloyalty. And Trump's former press secretary, the new governor of Arkansas, Sarah Huckabee Sanders, has also refused to endorse him right now for 2024. Now, the Republican on Republican crime doesn't stop there, though. Hardly. Over at the RNC, current chair Ronna McDaniel is in a bitter race against former Trump lawyer Harmeet Dillon and MyPillow CEO Mike Lindell to keep her position, and the food fight amongst these three Republican Trump supporters has not been pretty. Former Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, also mulling a run for president, has broken with Trump to defend more aid to Ukraine to defeat President Vladimir Putin there. Incidentally, Pompeo is also fighting with former U.S. Ambassador to the UN, Nikki Haley, another possible presidential candidate, over some comments he made about her in his book. Over in the House, Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene and Representative Matt Gaetz are engaged in a petty fight over who is the leading MAGA voice in Congress. Now, lest you think this is all bad news for Trump, I actually have the opposite concern. With so many Republicans contemplating a run in 2024, Pompeo, Haley, Mike Pence, Ron DeSantis, John Bolton, no one is poised to actually give him a real challenge. He'll be a weaker candidate than he was in 2016 and 2020 for sure, but he only needs a plurality to win the nomination. The infighting inside Trump world, the RNC, and in the Republican House will only be good for Trump, as he'll weaponize it to reward loyalty. This is, however, very bad news for the Republican Party. Another 2 years of jockeying for Trump's affection, and a likely Trump nomination will continue to do what it has been for the past 6 years, weakening the GOP to the point of utter uselessness. That's it for me. See you next week.